The honourable member for Surrey North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, over the summer, or before we recessed for the summer, the Auditor General pointed out that there was a $3.1 billion that was missing or unaccounted for in the Treasury Board. I listened to the speech by the Treasury Board President very carefully, and I was hoping that my constituents have been asking me over the summer as to whether the $3.1 billion has been found, or whether the Treasury Board President has an opportunity to locate that $3.1 billion. And I hope that he will inform this House in the next day or two or weeks whether that $3.1 billion has been located or not. Mr. Speaker, I rise today on behalf of my constituents from Surrey North to talk about Bill C-4, the Budget Implementation Act. Mr. Speaker, Bill C-4 is yet another omnibus bill proposed by the Conservatives. It comprises of 300-odd pages and it addresses over 60, 70 different laws. Mr. Speaker, this is deja vu all over again. This is like Groundhog Days. You think the Conservatives, after proroguing after the summer break, that they would come up with a new mandate, new ideas to address the needs of Canadians, to address the needs of every families in my community, the individuals in my community. Yet, Mr. Speaker, I don't see anything in this bill that addresses the real needs of Canadians. The need for jobs, job security, well-paying jobs. That's not in this bill, Mr. Speaker. I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives, it looks like, never got out of the Ottawa bubble. Mr. Speaker, if they had gotten out of the Ottawa bubble, they would look at the long lineups at the food banks. Not only long, but growing lineups at the food banks, Mr. Speaker. They would look at creating jobs for our young people. As you can see, our young people the unemployment rate is the highest among any age group. So there's nothing in this bill that addresses the needs of our young people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there's another crisis brewing in the Lower Mainland, Mr. Speaker. Port Metro Vancouver is a major port that helps to facilitate trade. It helps movement of goods right across from prairies, right to the port, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, what I've seen in the last week, the trucking industry is having major issues at the port, which takes them a long time to either pick up or drop off goods that they need to transport, Mr. Speaker. And that crisis is looming. And I urge this government to address this issue before our economy in the Lower Mainland, Vancouver area, is damaged, Mr. Speaker, because, as you know, truckers provide a vital role in movement of goods throughout this country. And what they're having is difficulty picking up and dropping off their goods from the port. And the wait times are long, long time, Mr. Speaker, and this government needs to address that in a way that will help the movement of our goods. Mr. Speaker, there are many, as I said, there are many issues in this Bill C-4. It addresses 70 or 80 different bills. And what I want to talk about, I only got 10 minutes, so I want to pick up two issues that I think that are important to my constituents from Surrey North, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the issues I want to talk about is this is a missed opportunity by the Conservative government, and it's evident as I read through Bill C-4. The irony certainly strikes me that we are approaching Remembrance Day as we discuss this bill. The next couple of weeks should be dedicated to thanking Canadians in service and our veterans for their dedication to our country, including those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. This time of the year, we repeat the mantra, lest we forget. But the truth of the matter is that this bill demonstrates the Conservatives have forgotten Canadian veterans. Here, the Conservative government had an opportunity to make real changes. Bill C-4 does not do that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the 300-odd pages of this bill does not address. It addresses a wide range of things, but it does not address what is needed for the veterans. There's one change to the Veterans Review and Appeal Board, Mr. Speaker, in this Bill C-4. The change to the institution that New Democrats have been repeatedly demonstrated is biased. subjective and inefficient. The Conservatives can only think of one change to make, Mr. Speaker, which is reducing the number of permanent members on the board from 28 to 25. Mr. Speaker, it's no secret that veterans do not find support or reassurances in the Veteran Review and Appeal Board. In March, in this House, I spoke about one of my constituents, retired Sergeant Fergus, who is having difficulty in navigating the Veterans Review and Appeal Board. Since March, the Conservatives have had many opportunities to make changes to the VRAV, but they continue to forget about veterans. Mr. Fergus is not alone in his plight. I have had many constituents who approach my office to seek help to navigate board for disability claims. Members of the board are appointed primarily because of their political connections. They have little military or medical knowledge. Mr. Speaker, these members have the responsibility of deciding the future of our veterans, but without contextual knowledge of their challenges, they often make decisions that are not based on evidence. Like the immigration system, the decision-making process of the Veteran Review and Appeal Board is lengthy. Long waits can leave veterans out in cold. Mr. Speaker, I say out in cold literally. I had a veteran approach my office this summer who was at risk of being homeless. After serving Canada bravely for years, it is clear that Canadian government did not intend to serve my constituents, retired Sergeant Lorenz. Although my office helped him navigate the application process, Mr. Lorenz is now at standstill while he waits to see a psychologist to assess his mental health. He has to wait 6 months, Mr. Speaker. He already knows that he has post-traumatic stress disorder, but he must wait 6 months before his application can continue. After sacrificing so much for peace and freedom, it is shameful that Mr. Lorenz must wait this long to be awarded the benefits and support that he is entitled to. Mr. Speaker, to Mr. Fergus and Mr. Lorenz and all the men and women who have bravely stood up for our country, I thank them for their service. I commit, along with my NDP colleagues, that I will continue to stand up for them, for their rights around Remembrance Day and throughout the whole year, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other area I want to talk about that is contained in this bill is the changes to the immigration Immigration Act, Mr. Speaker. My constituency is very diverse, and there are many immigrants living in my community. It is clear to my constituents that Canada's immigration system is broken, especially in regards to family reunification. Family reunification is not a priority for this Conservative government. Recently, Canadians were appalled to hear a Conservative minister referring to family reunification as a burden to Canada. Mr. Speaker, I am a product of that family reunification. The Conservatives have repeatedly undermined the importance and value of family by making such claims. It is not only disrespectful, but outright inhumane for a minister to assert this. Canada has always welcomed immigrants, fostered family bonds, and provided opportunities for families reconstruct their lives. Mr. Speaker, every day my office receives many visits from many victims who have fallen to the immigration system. I cannot provide specific cases here because it will take a long time, but Mr. Speaker, there are too many to list all of them. There are families who cannot be reunited with joyous occasions like weddings and birthdays, or daughters or sons who are not able to say goodbye to their dying parents in time because their temporary resident visas were refused for some obscure reason. Mr. Speaker, there are husbands and wives who were separated for years before they can begin their lives together. Babies born to first-time mothers who need the support of their far-away partner, and new fathers who must wait months before they are to meet their newborns, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know my time is very close. Mr. Speaker, this bill basically does not address the needs of Canadians. It is true that I'm tired of seeing these omnibus bills come through the House. I'm tired of seeing the Conservatives attempt to hide these changes that are made within the 300 pages. Mr. Speaker, this truly demonstrates that the Conservative government is out of touch with the needs of Canadians.
Questions and comments? Question and commentaire. The Honourable Member for Sandwich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my honourable friend. I have the same issue over and over again in my constituency office of families that have been seeking reunification, patiently waiting. I'm horrified by the change in policy and the moving of the goalposts for so many families that have been doing all the right things, filing all the right papers, and then find they have to start all over again. But my question to you is on your last point, on finding omnibus budget bills. They've split the Conservatives have done in the last number of years 2 omnibus bills per budget. So we had certainly in 2012 and 2013, first a spring omnibus budget bill, and then a fall omnibus budget bill, C-38 and then C-65, C-60 and then C-4. And each of these monstrous bills has included many aspects that had nothing at all to do with the budget, but are mere expedients for pushing things through the House that much faster. And I wonder if the honourable member knows what the official opposition would do. Would omnibus bills, can we have House rules to restrict when they're legitimate? How would the official opposition deal with this problem?
The Honourable Member for Surrey North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the member for the wonderful questions he's put forward. Mr. Speaker, not only this bill is humongous, it's 300 pages. You got changes being made out to 67 or 70 laws that we have, but on top of that, this government is trying to ram this through. It's not giving opportunity every member in this House to be able to speak about it. And one of the words I learned from the Conservatives is time allocation. And basically, I want to explain that to Canadians, it's basically shutting down a debate. It's not giving opportunity for every member in this House to be able to speak to this bill. And not only that, Mr. Speaker, this bill will go to one committee. And that committee may not have the expertise of all of the 70 or odd bills that are addressed in this omnibus bill. So the government needs to look at, if they're going to bring in forward legislation, they need to make sure that it addresses areas that is important too. Not a hodgepodge of different areas they bring into one bill and they try to ram it through, Mr. Speaker. Canadians expect more, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments? The Honourable Member for Winnipeg North.
I'd like to follow up along the same line and put quite simply is that what we have seen is a Conservative majority government that has provided a different form of government, one that's somewhat unprecedented in the sense of the way in which they abuse the rules by bringing in numerous pieces of legislation through the back door of a budget implementation bill, thereby denying members of Parliament to represent their constituents in providing due diligence on what should be a wide variety of bills. This is one bill that could have very easily been split into a number of different bills, but it's this new PMO-instructed directive of how to pass legislation, which is not healthy, which is highly undemocratic, and to top it off, they put in time allocation to ensure that even fewer members of Parliament would be able to contribute to pointing out the misgivings of this irresponsible budget bill. And if the member might want to provide further comment in regards to that.
The Honourable Member for Surrey North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the member for that excellent question. And he mentioned that this is a PMO-directed initiative, that they bring in a bunch of different bills and laws and put it into one and make it into an omnibus bill. Mr. Speaker, we've seen what happens to PMO-driven agendas. We see it in the other House, and I can assure that member that the Canadians are paying attention to what's happening in this House when Conservatives are trying to ram through omnibus bills, and in 2015 they will provide the answer to this government and elect an NDP government, Mr. Speaker.